Welcome back to Medicine Deconstructed. I'm your host, Dr. Jay Rutland. You guys may or may not know how much I travel, but I know it's a lot recently. Ever since I watched a medical school classmate of mine put in work studying, I have studied just as much, if not more. Due to my continued study, it has led to a depth of knowledge that resulted in my ability to explain complicated topics. I've been invited all over the world to teach these topics. This episode, I'm going to talk about where I've traveled this year and what I have learned. All right, so let's get right to it. Travel this year started at the American Academy of Allergy and Asthma National Meeting in Washington, D.C. The topic that I spoke about this time was the clinical remission of asthma. I happened to be on stage with three people much smarter than me who have published just about every groundbreaking or important asthma paper written about inflammation in the last 20 to 25 years. I learned so much from them, especially how to communicate that message. I also visited the monuments for like the first time in my life. This was absolutely amazing. To walk the city thinking about the evolution of our wonderful country was just amazing. Las Vegas was next for a quick talk on eosinophilic granulomatosis polyangiitis, and then a week later, I got on a plane to Austin, Texas, to present at South by Southwest. This was a panel entitled, "Do Healthcare Creators Need Their Own Hippocratic Oath?" Interesting topic, we probably do. After I returned from Texas, I was home for 5 days, then off to Australia for 2 weeks. I spoke on the immunology of respiratory syncytial virus and the new GSK vaccine, Arexvy. RSV is prevalent in young and old. Understanding its pathogenesis gives us insight into the immunology of asthma, which of course I love. Also, it turns out Australia has excellent coffee, excellent food, and excellent people. This has been my favorite international trip thus far. I returned from Australia and took another plane a week later to New York City. In New York, my wife joined me and I spoke on the immunology of asthma and went to see my buddy Austin Chang as he had a book release party. I met some great new people and traveled to Philadelphia to film a program for GSK's Vaccine Virtual Days. The program was designed to discuss racial disparities when it comes to vaccine distribution. Happens all over the world, and especially the United States. After returning home from Philadelphia and New York, we took a quick weekend break to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, to celebrate my wife's 40th birthday. I wasn't allowed to bring any work, so I didn't. But I was secretly freaking out. Because once we returned from a nice party with 18 of our closest friends in Mexico, I was off to Belgium. I had to go to Brussels, Belgium to chair virtual vaccine days for GSK. This is a program that's run worldwide and 18,000 physicians watch from China to Brazil. I didn't just have to chair with my friend Jane, but I had to give a talk myself on immunosenescence. As we age, our immune system doesn't function as well, but we can do things to enhance its state. Exercise, eating from the produce section, and vaccination all enhance and sort of boost your immune system, in case you're wondering. Then it was off to Madrid, Spain, to be faculty at Nexus, an international meeting on eosinophilic lung diseases. I had to give a talk on healthcare communication in the media and social media. I also had to speak on artificial intelligence in pulmonary medicine. I also have to do this topic at American Thoracic Society conference in San Diego in a couple weeks. It was a crazy month in April, let me tell you. Once I landed home from Europe, I spent 1 night at home, 2 nights in the ICU taking call, and then it was off to Taipei, Taiwan to teach respiratory virus immunology, another favorite topic of mine. This one was for Pfizer, really to talk about Paxlovid, but for me, it was so much more. The SARS-CoV-2 pandemic really brought to light the importance of understanding the structure and function of respiratory viruses, and my talk was on just that. The 3 most common respiratory viruses are probably influenza, SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID, and respiratory syncytial virus. They're all single-stranded RNA viruses, and they all bind to different receptors on our cells, which explain their virulence and their post-acute sequelae, basically what happens after they bind. It's important to understand receptors and their distribution because that informs us where disease is going to take place. But back to Taiwan. The people are awesome. They eat all the time though, and I had the best sashimi of my life. They have nothing but respect for physicians, and it was an absolute pleasure to speak with physicians from Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, and Singapore. It's 150 of them. But the last 6 weeks have been crazy, but I've grown a deeper respect for this world. That's what traveling does. You begin to respect different cultures, and you kind of understand where these different cultures stand and how they behave and contribute to the world in a positive way. This is something I really want my kids to experience. We live in this Orange County bubble, and Orange County is a great place to live, and it's a great place to raise a family, but I want my kids to experience what I've experienced over the last 6 months. You get this sense of togetherness when you go to a place where you have multiple cultures together. And I think that that is in Europe more than it is in America. I'm sure that over the next couple of years, I will find myself living in Paris for at least 6 months or a year, working from there, filming from there, just so my kids can enjoy the different cultures in Europe and learn to speak another couple of languages. That's going to bring the world together. This is what I learned when I was traveling. I have had a great fortune to be able to do this. I really appreciate that, but I'm going to tell you this. It all starts with those books and taking the time to read and understand yourself. It's a blind faith, but it'll get you there. Thanks for joining Medicine Deconstructed this week, and we'll see you next time.